Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you here today. This is a video that it's either going to get made right now or it's probably not going to get made at all. WWE Payback 2016 was tonight. It was a show. It was what it was. I'm honestly a little bit more excited to be watching Camp WWE tonight than I was excited about watching Payback 2016. I wasn't able to watch the entire show. A lot of the things that I got from this was either just cruising through Twitter and watching the GIFs, as well as watching the videos that they put up throughout the show, and then also reading a review. I'm looking forward to tonight to watching Camp WWE. I'm looking forward tonight to listening to Brian and Vinny, and then also the Wrestling Observer Radio review in the day. I know that when I put up my predictions video last night, I wasn't really excited about the show, and honestly, the only thing that I really cared about was the main event, AJ Styles against Roman Reigns. Everything else on the show was just, it was what it was. At least I can say that the Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens match was better than I thought it was going to be. I honestly didn't think that WWE was going to give it time. I thought this was going to be a match that probably got about 5 or 6 minutes, and just to sort of fill up the card, and it ended up getting about 12, 13, 14, and getting a good placement on the show. And actually ended up going into the Intercontinental Championship match. When I was on my lunch today, I wasn't able to watch the match, but I was able to read tweets during the first pre-show match, which I think a lot of people thought was going to be an actual real match on the show. And I guess once it got timed out, it just got bumped to the pre-show. Dolph Ziggler against Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin ended up taking the loss with Ziggler. I think he rolled him up is what it was with the schoolboy. And a lot of people were pissed. Baron Corbin, won at WrestleMania. He made his debut on Monday Night Raw. And they put him in this program against Dolph Ziggler. And it seems like they're not really, it's almost like he's already starting to fall through the cracks. It reminds me a lot of, like, I don't even remember the Ascension ever getting a win on the main roster. At least Baron Corbin got a win at WrestleMania, and that's something that you're never going to be able to take away from him. Even though the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is somewhat of a joke, they've never really got behind Cesaro. They never really got behind Big Show, and then Baron Corbin is the guy who won the third one. We always like to think that maybe it is going to be the beginning of something, but losing the next pay-per-view in your first singles match on pay-per-view, not even on the pay-per-view, on the pre-show, it's going to be tough for him to dig out of this hole, and he's already in it. From there, we go to Kalisto versus Ryback. I'm reading this off for review right now. It looks like Kalisto got the win. I didn't see that one. Enzo and Kaz against the Vaudevillains. I'm sure everybody knows what happened in this one. During the match, Enzo Amore went for a baseball slide out of the ring. He ended up getting his left arm caught on the middle rope as he was sliding through, which caused him to hit his head on the middle rope and then hit his head onto the mat. He went down with a concussion. At the time, it looked like that, honestly, Enzo had died right in the ring. My good buddy Pinko, his first thoughts was he immediately thought of the guy that Rey Mysterio wrestled in Mexico, that had the accident with the 609. Was it Pero Aguayo Jr.? And basically, nobody knew what was going to go on. The referee threw up the X. They immediately put the cameras on the announcers as the medical team went to go work. Nobody really knew what was going on. It took a long time until before the main event when it was announced that Enzo Amore had been at the hospital and he had passed his tests. He did have a concussion, but it seemed like he was not going to be paralyzed. He was not going to have any problem with the spine. He wasn't going to have problems with anything else. And there's actually pictures of him walking out of the hospital in full-on Enzo Amore style, still wearing the medical gown. Enzo and Kaz against the Vaudevillains had a no finish. From here, especially with the seriousness of concussions, I think that they have to press forward as if the Vaudevillains had won this match. Give them the number one contenders match against the New Day, and move on from there, because everybody knows that with concussions, some guys come back in a week, some guys come back in 2 weeks. Some guys like Daniel Bryan never come back, and this one with Enzo looked honestly really bad. From there we go to Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. This is said to be an excellent match, wrestling a really physical style. From here they went with Kevin Owens winning with a super kick followed up by the pop-up powerbomb. From there Kevin Owens called Byron Saxton into the ring, where basically he said that he wanted to be going after the Intercontinental Championship. He had put Sami Zayn behind him. And the rivalry was now done, and we know who the better man is. Byron Saxton told Kevin Owens that the Intercontinental Championship was going to be following their match, and Kevin Owens went over and did commentary during the match. Miz and Cesaro went out to have their Intercontinental Championship match. It ended up being broken up by Kevin Owens and a returning Sami Zayn coming down to continue their fight, which looks like they're going to be leaning towards more than likely a fatal four-way at Extreme Rules down the road. Miz ended up getting the win in this match after Cesaro had made Miz tap out, but because of the referee trying to break up the fight between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, he wasn't able to see this. Once Cesaro was able to let go of the hold and try and bump Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens off at the apron, Miz schoolboyed him and was able to get the victory, which led to Cesaro hitting Miz with neutralizer, Kevin Owens hitting a super kick on Cesaro, and then Owens hitting a powerbomb on Sami Zayn to walk away as if he was the victor of the match. From there we go to Chris Jericho versus Dean Ambrose. Not much to say about this match. It just honestly wasn't a match that I cared about. A lot of people said this was a good match. I didn't think it was a blow-away great match. It was what it was, and Dean Ambrose got the victory. From there we go to the real sort of surprise of the night. I will say that when Bret Hart came out for the Charlotte versus Natalya match, no fucks were given by Bret. He really, honestly, didn't want to be there. He didn't say something that wasn't true, which is typical Bret Hart fashion. Normally, if he says something, he means it, and he really does believe it. I don't know if he felt WWE was trying to cash in off of his name after being a cancer survivor, and that was the only reason why he felt that he was going to be there, instead of adding something to the Natalya versus Charlotte match, but he just really did not want to be there. Out of the middle of nowhere, basically, they pulled off the screwjob finish from the 1997 Survivor Series. Kind of a dated thing, and I guarantee you a lot of people that were watching this don't even know what they saw was from 1997 Survivor Series. But basically, Charlotte put Natalya into the sharpshooter. Charles Robinson called for the bell. I guess Charles Robinson is sort of drawed in to Ric Flair if they're going off of the WCW gimmick of basically Charles Robinson was Ric Flair's handpicked referee when Ric Flair was the president of WCW, and Charles Robinson as Little Nate would act out being the heel referee, sort of like Nick Patrick did for the NWO back in the day. But Natalya never submitted to the sharpshooter, and I'm guessing that they're probably building towards a rematch between these two, or maybe just trying to blow this off. It's just for a total Divas angle, and then maybe just go in a completely different direction. Maybe they're trying to get closer to SummerSlam before they pull the Sasha Banks card and then have Sasha Banks versus Charlotte in one-on-one matches. From there we go to Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. This match was a very physical match, a very good match. Lots of near falls going back and forth. Sometimes it looked like AJ was going to win the championship and Roman kicked out. Sometimes it looked like Roman Reigns was going to get AJ and he was able to get kicked out. But during the match, there was a count out where AJ Styles was going to get the win, but basically Shane McMahon came out and said that basically the match wasn't long enough, the fans didn't get their money's worth, and that basically the match was going to restart so we could have a true finish. Oh, you know what I skipped over? I apologize. Was the whole segment between Stephanie and Vince, where basically Stephanie came out and basically, almost like she was running for election, gave off a speech, basically giving the reasons why she should be in charge of running Raw. And then followed by that, Shane McMahon came out with like a PowerPoint basically rollout of basically clips of him being used in pop culture media, people being excited that Shane McMahon returned to WWE, thinking that it was never going to come back again, but back and forth, one thing led to another. Vince ends up putting Shane and Stephanie in charge of Raw, thinking that this is going to be best for business, where both of these people are going to be like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Eric Bischoff, where basically both of them are going to be wanting to top one another, both of them are going to be wanting to stop the other one's ideas. I think they're trying to turn this into Vince versus Stephanie, Vince versus Shane, Vince versus Linda, the McMahon family drama of, 2000, 2001 that USA loved, thinking that it brought ratings to the television. I've seen the McMahon family drama. I'm ready to move on from the McMahon family drama, much like the 1997 Survivor Series, as well as the heel GMs and the heel owners and all of that. I think that it's time to finally evolve wrestling and get away from what worked in the past is going to work today. This has been going on long enough. Shane should have been put in charge of Raw, and then Stephanie and Triple H should have been behind the scenes trying to do things to try and screw Shane to the point where basically Vince would have to step in and give them the power back because Shane wasn't doing the job that he was supposed to be doing. But that's not where they're going. But during this match, Shane came out and he restarted the match, basically because he didn't want the match to end in a no countout sort of deal. From there, we go to the Roman Reigns getting DQ'd, basically for punching AJ Styles in the nuts with the Superman punch, where Stephanie came out and she restarted the match, basically saying that it was going to be no disqualification. From there, we had the run-in of Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, when the match went back and forth. Near fall with AJ Styles getting a pin on Roman Reigns for the kickout, only for the Usos to come down and attack Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, taking them out of the match, and then for having it going back and forth. Reigns was able to then spear AJ Styles, and he was able to pick up the victory. Basically, the announcers, put over Roman Reigns as if he was one of the best wrestlers to ever step into the ring, and the savior of WWE for all of this, that, and the other. From there, we went to the McMahons in the back having a conversation, basically where they already booked out what the main event was going to be of Extreme Rules, basically saying that this match needed to happen again. It was going to be Roman Reigns against AJ Styles. They're going to be going for the WWE Championship in an Extreme Rules match, and we'll see what that does from here. Honestly, off the top of my head, it means Finn Balor is not debuting on Raw. Maybe he'll debut at Extreme Rules. But for all of us out there, there was hoping that Finn Balor was going to debut tonight. Didn't happen. Not going to happen. Looks like we're going to have to wait another month for it to happen.